What's up guys, Matt with BAAM Ranch. So today I thought we'd go over some basic tools. I'm talking like 10 or less tools that will fix 99% of everything that you've got going on around the homestead, anything electrical. If you've got a dryer that stopped, you need to fix an outlet, and even most things due to automotive related issues. This isn't a comprehensive toolkit. This isn't your 600 piece, 1,000 piece ultimate tool set. This is just the stuff that fits in the table beside your recliner. This is the stuff that you can carry in a small bag that just in two handfuls you can just about carry everything around. Instant go-to, grab it type stuff that is going to fix almost all of your problems. So let's get into it. Like I said, not comprehensive, but if you have this stuff right here, you'll be able to fix just about everything. First thing is, in no particular order, a good pair of channel locks. Now this is the bigger size. If you're doing mostly smaller stuff, you might be able to get away with one of the smaller pairs, but a good pair of channel locks are absolutely unstoppable as far as the versatility of these things. You can use them to crush stuff, a pair of pliers to get in and twist or pull on something. You can remove bolts with these, or if you've got a bolt you're getting loose with a nut, you can hold the nut on the opposite side of it. Water hoses and almost any type of plumbing fixtures. Not always the best tool for the job, but it's the one that's in your pocket and can get almost all of those jobs done. Let's stay with the pliers theme. A good pair of side cutters, pair of side dikes. These are Kleins, and this is the one that I would recommend you get. Get this size here. I've got a whole bunch of different ones of these. We've all got a ton of these little small cheap ones. Take these, throw them away. They're useless, and it's just as hard to carry one of those as it is the full size. I've got several of them. This is a pair that I've had for probably 25 years that are almost wore out, and it took them about that long to get there. With that being said, I could probably just sharpen these and they'd come back to life. I like the Kleins. Go with Klein, channel lock, or Knipex. Milwaukee's actually making some pretty good ones too, but you'll never go wrong with either one of those. Next up, screwdrivers. This is the one that I have been using lately. There's others out there that are like this one. This one is a Klein. I'm not trying to sound like a Klein fanboy here. It's the stuff that I have that seems to be working. And I'm going to recommend this one for a specific reason. What I used to carry is this particular one. And this is what the 9-in-1 or 6-in-1. The shank comes out. It's got your little flip bits so that you can switch back and forth between, you know, whatever you're trying to use. You got all the little bits right there together, and it works pretty good. So yeah, I'd recommend these. There's a 5/16 and a 1/4 inch nut driver, as well as your number 2, number 1 Phillips and flathead. I'm not really carrying this thing around much anymore. I'm doing more along this one. This is the 11-in-1 impact, and the impact portion of that is important. Of course, it's got all of your little bits and stuff, you know, your flip bits for your number 1 and number 2 Phillips, you know, on the other side as well. But all of this comes apart. And although I wouldn't want to do it a whole lot, it's all impact rated. So in a pinch, you can stick this in your screw gun and run screws with it. Now, it would wear out the bits pretty quick, so you need to keep that in mind. But hey, like I said, I can grab one tool, and if I'm just doing one simple project, it's not that big of a deal. On the other side, let's see, so we've got the 5/16, a 3/8, small and large, flathead and Phillips. This has the little flip bit of the square drive. And then this end over here, it comes with a T25 Torx, which is great. But what I like about it better is it's just a standard magnetic bit holder. So I can put whatever bit I want in there. But I can grab this screwdriver. My wife tells me something's broken. I can grab this one screwdriver, and this will fix almost everything in the entire house. Needle nose pliers. You've got to have a pair of needle nose pliers. This one is Klein. I actually don't like the Kleins as much as I do some of the others, because they're just built fatter, and it kind of restricts you in getting into tight spaces. Nothing wrong with these, it's just not what I prefer. I prefer the channel lock kind, but I bring that up for a specific reason. Most all needle nose pliers have a set of cutters in here. This particular pair of channel locks, if you'll notice, it's flat. There's no cutters. And I don't know how well it shows up on camera, but this one has a whole lot more precise and fine tip. If these had the cutters in them, I would absolutely carry these channel lock brand over the Kleins, but they don't have it. And this is just my kit that sits beside where I sit. It just fits in a little table, so that's what I grab. But yeah, needle nose pliers. Once again, get the longer style that are the same. What is that? An 8-inch pair. You'll never run out of a good use for these. That's without. Yeah, you'll never run out of a good use for them. Next, the most hated tool in the world, the crescent wrench. Everybody hates these things. It's the wrong tool for every job. And well, here's the thing. People that don't have and use crescent wrenches are people that don't actually work on anything. Or, they're a mechanic, like an auto mechanic, that has all of their tools right there next to them. The crescent wrench is an incredibly effective tool. And don't be an elitist, and don't listen to the elitists that tell you have to get use the right tool for the job. A crescent wrench, as long as it's adjusted properly, is absolutely adequate. Now then, there is a huge difference between a cheap one and a good one. This is actually the Crescent brand. I would go with that, or some other company's name brand. The Milwaukee's are good. The better ones, I think Craftsman makes a good one. One of the big, nationwide brands of the crescent wrenches, and they'll be all right. There's these, dime a dozen cheap ones. Can you hear that? They're just floppy. They're thin. They don't hold adjustment very well. I'll rattle this one. They're just sloppy. And these are all right to leave in the glove box or something. But for your main tool kit, buy a good crescent wrench. A hammer, you got to have a hammer. Pick what kind you want. I like the Estwing 20 ounce. You could go with a framing hammer. You could go with a regular, nail hammer. I like this one. It's big enough to really get some tough work done if I need to. But it's the biggest I could get and still have a smooth face. So whenever I'm driving nails for the wife, I'm not leaving waffle marks all over the place. So that's why I got this one in particular. Biggest Estwing hammer I could get with a smooth face. Tape measure. Stanley's are great. The Milwaukee's are great. All of the name brands are great. The ones from Harbor Freight aren't bad either. It's pretty well apples to apples. Pick what you like. This is just the standard Stanley 25 foot. I do recommend the 25 foot. But this is something that we wind up using all the time. And anything bigger than a 25 foot is just too big. Next thing we've got is you need some type of electric meter. You're not going to fix anything around the house. And I was really torn. Do I go with like the Fluke 87 style, digital multimeter, or do I go with one of these that's the clamp-on style for measuring amperage and stuff like that? Well, here's the deal. If you're working on sensitive electronics, you really need something like this. However, this has no way of measuring household amperage. So I kind of had, as much as I like this thing and as I spent incredibly too much money on it, if we're just going to have one, I'm probably going to say it's not this one. So I'd go with one of these. There's Fluke, makes good brand. This one's not bad. Gardner Bender, and this has actually worked pretty good. You don't have to spend a ton of money on it, but you can measure amperage. For example, if you've got a 3-phase motor or something that goes out, you can clamp on that and see if there's a leg dropped. You can see if there's power going to your electric water heater, without going in and testing. And if it's, is it just supplied power? Is there a huge draw on something like a stalled motor? It's going to put out a ton of amperage. That way, if it's just something that's not working or if it's something that's like stalled. You need to have a way to measure amperage, and that just clamps on the wire. This will also measure DC and AC voltage and ohms for resistance. All of the stuff, all of the switches and everything in the world, even like sensors and stuff for your car, they're going to be tested by testing the ohms level. And this will actually do all that. It's not quite as precise, I don't think, as your digital multimeter, but it works. And let's be honest, it's accurate enough for the home gamer to be able to use. Now then, if you're stepping it up a little bit, because man, having an impact gun and a drill. These are both the Milwaukee 12-volt lines. I love them. This is one of the old brushed ones. I keep hoping it will die because I want to upgrade it to one of the brushless. But these right here, almost any project we have, one or both of these wind up in my hand. So, pick your color, whether you want the red one or the yellow one or the green one or the blue one. It doesn't matter. Pick one. We're not actually buying the tool. We're buying the battery system. Everybody knows that. So have at it, but once you buy one, you're stuck with the battery platform. So those are the tools. As a bonus, I'm going to show you something. Let's go with, support things. What do we need to support this stuff, right? Well, you got to be able to see. So at minimum, some type of a flashlight or a magnetic work light or something like that. You got to have that. Loctite 243, that is your best friend. Some type of oil. I tend to keep some type of silicone lubricant for lubricating, and then Croil is what I use, if I need a penetrating oil. A roll of electrical tape. Buy the good tape. Buy the name brand electrical tape. There is a difference, and it is a big difference. But having a roll of electrical tape will save your butt. And zip ties. I've got these from this size all the way up to these big mongers. And these aren't needed very often, but whenever they are needed, it's the only thing that'll work. But having some zip ties is an absolute amazing option as well. Now then, if you want to upgrade from some of this stuff or kind of take a little bit of a variation, just here at the end of the video. With your channel locks, as good as these things are, the Knipex Cobras are every bit that much better. These right here are amazing. As long as you let them get a bite, you can push down here on this top handle as hard as you want. It might not do it on that hardened hammer. Probably can't get a bite in it. But you squeeze it hard enough to let it bite, and you can press on this handle as hard as you can. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a whole bunch of gouge marks in there. That's because I stuck a 2-foot pipe on these and used them to break a ball joint loose. That's tool abuse. that is absolute abuse of the tool, and it worked. The smaller ones work just fine too. Sometimes you need a little stubby small screwdriver. I've got a whole bunch of different ones. Like I said, I'm just grabbing what was sitting beside the couch. I've got this little tiny Klein, and this thing works great. It's like the others. You flip it over, and it's got the big and the small size of Phillips and flathead. It's a wonderful little screwdriver. But if you want the absolute best multi-bit screwdrivers known to man, you're going to have to write a check and get the Snap-on. Snap-on, I don't know what it is. I've heard the Linus Tech Tips are pretty good, but I've never used one. But these Snap-on ratcheting screwdrivers are the absolute best ratcheting screwdrivers on the market, bar none, no exceptions. This one takes the multi-bit, and I actually use this thing quite a bit. These are hateful little guys, but sometimes this doesn't fit, and you need something smaller. We were installing a ceiling fan for my son this weekend. This didn't actually fit. We should have came outside and got this, but we didn't. We just made do. So yeah, pick you up one of these little stubby guys that takes the interchangeable bits. You won't use it very often, and whenever you do have to use it, it is absolutely hateful. But whenever you need it, there's nothing else that will get the job done. All right, folks, I guess that pretty well does it for this video. So be sure and hit the little thumbs up button and do all the other YouTube things that you're supposed to do. And until next time, y'all be safe.